collaboration also.
Yeah, that is the collaboration of linkers. That means people will be connecting each other, okay, in a group meeting or in at times of shopping, at times of walking, at times of jogging. Okay, people will be communicating with each other. So communicating in terms of communication, one is the way, that is the verbal communication. CLT, we can communicate with them with V sign and also the body language. Okay, I am good, I am okay. But CLT will be talking about the oral or the verbal communication you are making with the people. So in which way you will make communications? Okay, in case of international arena, you see several communication methods will be there, because whenever you will be going to a multinational country, that means you will get people with so many countries, from so many countries. So you can't share your thoughts in your mother tongue over there. You have to communicate with them in English language. So in a very multinational presence in a country, you have to communicate in your foreign language, that means the English language. And that communications, okay, someone is standing over there with a bag, so varied communications. Someone's communication is purpose for academic, someone for holidays, someone for treatment, someone for business.
Different purpose.
Okay, but communication is the core. So communication in which way? Communication is the key. Okay, it's also a sort of communication. That means the children are playing with their miss. Okay, they are making fun. So at the time of making fun, children will try to communicate. Okay, my 3 years son, they say that, yes, Papa, let's go. That means he has heard this from TV. Okay, and then he has applied this. Okay, in the same way, in the classroom, such kind of communication. How will we make that communication effective? Okay, so we can communicate by phone, by internet, media, message, television also a communication. Why? That means at the time of the broadcasting, you are watching the television, so you are listening to the person who is broadcasting the news. So it's also a kind of communication. Email, listening, announcement, conversation, discussion, website, chat, reading, writing. Reading is also a communication. How? The reading, that means the text you are reading, that is written by a writer, isn't it? So whenever you are reading a text from the book, and the communication is reader and writer, you are getting the message of the writer by reading the books. So reading is also a sort of communication. Okay, but CLT will be dealing with the oral communication, and the goal of CLT you make is to make you efficient in verbal communication, especially several settings. Okay, so the original communicative language teaching CLT are to be found in the changes in the British language teaching tradition dating from the late 1960s. Okay, so that background. So British curriculum system, they initiated that they want to change the English language teaching and learning system, because I said that at present when communication came in existence, that is in 1960 decades, যখন 1960 দশকে CLT নিয়ে কথাবার্তা হচ্ছে, তখন আমাদের হাতে ছিল কতগুলো মেথড, GTM, direct method, audio linguism. The British linguists, they are not happy with that kind of method, so they were trying to find out a new method, new approach, and that communicative language teaching came in existence. Yes, yeah, Dale Hyams, MK Holiday. Okay, so notions, function, meaning, and context, that would be very much impossible in case of CLT, that means the communication. In case of writing communication, if I ask you to write an email, okay, then you can write it very quickly. Okay, that means you will be writing the email. But in case of other settings, okay, sorry, hello, Baba, আমি ক্লাসে গুরুত্বপূর্ণ. Okay, so in case of communications, this notions function will be used. That means I said that GTM is tough and communicative language teaching approach is easy. Because yes, no, very good if you know this such kind of expression you are able to. No. Actually, M.K. Holiday and Dale Hymes said that yes, you have to get this thing in your mind at the time of making communication with a person. So notion, what you are in a position to express, what meanings you are in your mind. আপনি কি বলতে চাচ্ছেন? Functions, and that meaning of your head can be conveyed by your words that you are delivering from your lips or mouth, and meaning, whether the meaning will not be communicated. So if you can't express your meaning with the clear and spacious precious word, then the person can understand you. আপনি যদি সংক্ষেপে সুন্দরভাবে সেই ইংরেজিটা বলতে না পারেন, তাহলে যাকে বলছেন সে তার অর্থ বুঝতে পারবে না। সো মিনিংটাও কি হবে না, ক্লিয়ার হবে না। অ্যান্ড কনটেক্সট, দ্যাট ইজ ভেরি ইম্পর্টেন্ট। আপনি কখন, কোথায়, কার সাথে কথা বলছেন। ওকে, আপনি যদি স্প্যানিশ কারোর সাথে ইংরেজিতে কথা বলেন, তাদের স্প্যানিশ ইংলিশটা এত সুন্দর যে ওরা যখন কথা বলে মনে হবে যে কথার মধ্যে ইংরেজি বলছে ওরা, বাট ইংরেজির মধ্যে মনে হয় তারা এই বাংলাদেশের সেরা যে মিষ্টি, সেই মিষ্টি মনে হয় মিশাই দিচ্ছে, এরকম আর কথা বলছে আর কি। এত সুন্দর স্প্যানিশ ইংলিশ, হ্যাঁ, লাস্টের অংশগুলো। সো দ্য কনটেক্সট, with whom you are speaking and with in which context you are speaking. So, and for this reason, communicative language teaching or communication in the proper way is a bit tough. Okay, but if you can make the communication easy, then that would be very much effective and beneficial for the learners and of course the foreign teachers as well. Okay, so in every background that I have said, that origin of communicative language teaching are to be found in the changes in the British language teaching tradition dating from the 1960 decades. That is the history and the origin of CLT. And before that, situational language was used in British. Situational language, that can also be called contextual language uses. Situation means what is the situation, in which situation you are speaking. সেই সিচুয়েশনাল ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজটাকে আমরা বলি যে সেটারই নাম দিল ব্রিটিশরা, হলো কন্টেক্সচুয়াল ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজ ইউসেস। সো কন্টেক্সট ইজ ভেরি ইম্পর্টেন্ট। ওকে, ইয়েস, by the end of the 60s it was clear that the situational approach had run its course. এটা শেষ হয়ে গেছে, এটা আর কোনো কাজ করছে। Then there was no future of continuing to pursue the chimera of predicting the language on the basis of situational events. So what is required? So required is, that is, the communication is the key. And for this reason, first Noam Chomsky came up with a book, that is the syntactic structure. In order to convey the meanings, you have to get that book. Noam Chomsky came up with. Chomsky demonstrated that the current standard of structural theories of language were incapable of accounting for the fundamental characteristics of language. So Chomsky came up. After that, John Ford, M.K. Halliday, an American was in sociolinguistics, Dale Hymes, John Humpert, William Lever, as well as work in the philosophy, that is John Austin and John Searle. So these are the person. They come up with the idea of communicative language teaching. They said that actually the syntactic structure and other communicative forms of language should be encouraged in case of language teaching. এই ভদ্রলোকেরা কার কথা বললো? এই কমিউনিকেটিভ ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজের কথা বললেন। And came from the changing educational realities in Europe. Educational realities in Europe, there are 46 countries, 56টা দেশ আছে ইউরোপে, কিন্তু এখানে আবার ভ্যারিড ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজ আছে। আফ্রিকার থেকে কম, বাট মোর দেন 1500 languages used in Europe. But another thing is that Europe is the is the earliest of the civilization, and for this reason many people from other continent, they come over there in Europe. Okay, so the Europe, they think that this language learning teaching approach should be changed, and that came from British linguists like M.K. Halliday and others. So this are the concept and the origins of CLT. Europe's Council's major area of activity is sponsored International Conference of Language Teaching, published books. Okay, European Councils of Language. Okay, they have initiated such kinds of development. So need, what is the necessity? They want to make the learner efficient in communication. যেটা আগের মেথডগুলো ফুলফিল করতে পারছিল না। Okay, Wilkins, D.A. Wilkins, 1972, which proposed a functional and communicative definition of language, and that could serve as the basis of developing communicative syllabuses of language teaching. So Wilkins, next time after Chomsky, Wilkins came up his book, that is Wilkins developing the communicative approach of the language. And then Wilkins later come up with a book that is the notional syllabuses. And for this reason, these things will be used. The work of the Council of Europe, the writings of Wilkins, Widdowson, Kent Lynn, and Christopher Bumfitt, Keith Johnson, and other British applied linguists on the theoretical basis of communicative or the functional approach of language teaching. So if you go for the origin of CLT, that means these British linguists, they come up with the communication notions of the language, and that became CLT. Okay, that's the history and the functional approach and the functional principles. Okay, so that is the first thing this linguist came up with, the two initial things. Make communicative competence the goal of language teaching. Every approach and method will have a goal, principle. Goal কি, objective কি? এটা হচ্ছে মোটা দাগে দুটো গোল, দুটো লক্ষ্য। সেটা কি? Make communicative competence the goal of the language teaching. GTM আমাদের কি শেখাবে? Reading, writing. Direct method আমাদেরকে speaking শেখাবে। Audiolingualism আমাদেরকে স্পিকিং শেখাবে, কিন্তু কেউই বলছে না যে আমাদেরকে কি কমিউনিকেশন শেখাবে। So this is the first time CLT came up with the aim or the goal that make communicative competence the goal of language teaching. Second one, develop procedure for the teaching of the 4 language skills. One approach that will make you efficient to teach all 4 skills of language teaching. Okay. So that is the goal, and Littlewood states that one of the most characteristic feature of communicative language teaching is that it pays systematic attention to functional as well as structural aspect of language. That means Littlewood come up with that's one of the. So whenever you will be writing background and then goal, these are the goals. If you write in short, that would make you efficient in case of answering the question in CLT. And there are 2 versions of CLT, with strong version and weak version. The strong version of communication approach has a weak version. The weak version which has become more or less standard practice, and standard version more practice in the classroom. Teacher will not be delivering lecture like me. Teacher will be sitting, that what you did earlier. Okay, they will ask you, teacher will ask you and involve you in several group discussion, several things. Okay, and that would be the strong version, and weak version, less communication, less discussion,
Yes,
interaction. Many of you may ask you, sir, what is the difference between audiolingualism and communication? সবগুলোই তো communication আছে. Okay, now first difference is that audiolingualism make you efficient in speaking and listening, but CLT will make you efficient in communication. Communication should be the core goal of language teaching. এবং সেই কমিউনিকেশনটা আপনি কিভাবে করতে পারেন? লিখেও করতে পারেন, আবার বলেও করতে পারেন। Okay, that is the first difference between audiolingualism and CLT, communicative. So this sometimes question may come in your exams, mid or final. What is the difference between audiolingualism and communicative language teaching? Okay, so these are the several points over there. These are all collected from that books, that is the approach Richard and Rogers' book Approach and Methods. You will be getting over there those who have the books, and those who if you do not have the book, you can get it from your slide. First one we are reading. Attends to structure and form from their meaning. Communicative language teaching, meaning is paramount. CLT, that means what you are talking, that means you have to convey your meaning clearly. আপনি কি বলতে চাচ্ছেন? Suppose you are বলতে চাচ্ছেন, আমি তো কিছু শুনছি না, কথা বলতেছি না, কিন্তু আপনি হয়তো কিছু বলছেন, কিন্তু যাকে বলছেন সে কোনো কিছু বুঝতে পারছে না. So meaning is the first goal. Language items are not necessarily contextualized in case of audiolingualism. Contextualization is the basic premise. Where? With whom you are speaking? কার সাথে কথা বলছেন, কোন অবস্থায় কথা বলছেন, আপনি কি চাচ্ছেন? That is very important. Drilling is the central of teaching in case of audiolingualism. Drilling may occur but peripherally. CLT-র ক্ষেত্রে ড্রিলিং থাকবে, মানে একটা কথা 1000 বার, একটা সেন্টেন্স আই লাইক বানানা, আই লাইক বানানা, আই লাইক বানানা, এটা অডিওলিঙ্গুয়ালিজমে থাকবে, কিন্তু CLT-তে এই ড্রিলিং থাকবে বাট সাইডে, শুধুমাত্র ডিসকাশন, আলোচনা, কথা বলা, একে অপরের সাথে ইন্টারাকশন. ওকে, that would be the core in CLT. So there are 4 components are there. That is the difference between audiolingualism and CLT. So if you are asked to write the answer of this question, you have to write this and you have to explain this. Linguistic competence is the desired goal in case of audiolingualism. Communicative competence, linguistic competence and communicative competence. Have you got the 2 terms? লিঙ্গুইস্টিক কমিউনিকেশন আপনার ভাষার উপরে দখল আছে, আপনি সুন্দর লিখতে পারেন কিন্তু আপনি বলতে পারেন না. CLT এটা চায় না. CLT চায় কি? কমিউনিকেটিভ কম্পিটেন্স, সেটা আপনাকে লিখেও করতে হবে এবং বলতেও হবে. ওকে, desired goals will be there. Okay, so some others differences will be there. You have to read this, and then theory of language, of course. In approach will be the theory of communicative language. Approach is language teaching. It starts from a theory of language as communication. That means communication will be inside the approach of CLT. The goal of language teaching is to develop what Himes refer to a communicative competence. Communicative competence. I pick a subject with that word competence, and the course's title was Intercultural Communicative Competence at the time of my study abroad. Language material development আছে, language description কিছু কম্পালসারি, কিন্তু অপশন মডিউলের মধ্যে টেস্টিং আছে, টেস্টিং অ্যাসেসমেন্ট নিতে হবে, আর ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজ মেটেরিয়াল ডেভেলপমেন্ট আছে, আর এটা আছে কি ইন্টারকালচারাল কমিউনিকেটিভ কম্পিটেন্স. Just observing the title of the course, I select this one. Okay, so this Dale Himes said that referred to a communicative competence. Himes coined the term in order to contrast the communicative view of Longues and Chomsky's theory of competence. Communicative competence, the communicationের যে যোগ্যতা, এটা অর্জন করাই হলো এই CLT approach that was mentioned by Dale Himes. Okay, so the 7 basic functions that language performs for children learning their first language. The instrumental functions, using a language to get things done. The regulatory function, using language to control the behavior of others. These are the several functions will be there. Teaching language and communication. Henry Widdowson, he has written another book after getting the term. ডেল হাইম কি বললো? কমিউনিকেটিভ কম্পিটেন্স, এবং এটার উপরে আরেকজন একটা বই লিখলো, তাই সে বইটার নাম কি? টিচিং ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজ অ্যাজ কমিউনিকেশন, অ্যান্ড দ্যাট ওয়াজ রিটেন ইন 1978. Okay, socio-linguistics competence, socio-linguistic competence, that means in which social perspectives what language you will use. Okay. And that would be the thing in language in CLT. And design will be their objective. What did I say? To make the efficient learner an efficient communicator. That means you can communicate. Linguistics, an effective level of interpersonal relationship and conduct. The general educational level will be there. Okay, syllabus that would be dependent on the teachers. That means what sort of activities he or she is. Yeah. Yeah. Discussion of the nature of the syllabus have been central in the communicative language teaching. The failure of communicative language teaching can come with the failure of effective syllabus. So if you can put syllabus okay, then communicative language teaching may be effective, most effective. Okay. So what did I do in the initial stage of this class? If we do it in every classes, half an hour or 20 minutes or 30 minutes, then what your speaking will be developed. আজকে আমরা 5-7 জনকে হয়তো বললাম, এটা যদি আমরা 32 জনকেই প্রতিদিনই ক্লাসে এটা ইমপ্রুভ করাতে পারি, তাহলে ওখানে যে উন্নতিটা হবে এই 3 ঘন্টা 2.5 ঘন্টা লেকচার শুনে সেটা উন্নতিটা হবে না। আপনি শুনলেন কিন্তু বললেন না। ওকে, সিএলটির সিলেবাসটা এই জন্য অত্যন্ত গুরুত্বপূর্ণ। ইউ হ্যাভ টু মেক দ্য সিলেবাস ওকে সো দ্যাট দ্য স্টুডেন্ট ক্যান ইনভলভ ইন কমিউনিকেশন। আপনি হোয়াট ইজ ইউর ফেভারিট টিভি চ্যানেল, একজন আরেকজনকে জিজ্ঞাসা করলেন, ও বললো কার্টুন, আরেকজন বললেন মুভি, আরেকজন বললেন difference. So that sort of thing. So the teacher will find the interest of the learners and they will make the syllabus. And there are several books will be there. Structure plus function will change. Function spiral around a structural one. Several books are there. Okay, this book can be included in your syllabus. Types of activities, whether drill, whether conversation, whether direction. That would little would distinguish between functional communication activities and social interaction activities. Functional communication activities, what sort of activities? That means suppose বলা হলো যে এই পক্ষের যারা তারা হচ্ছে সেলার আর আপনারা হলো পারচেস করতে গিয়েছেন। ওকে, এই শর্ট এখন একটা আমরা ডিসকাশন করলাম, রোল প্লে করলেন, তার মানে উনি হচ্ছে কোনো জিনিস বিক্রি করবেন আর আপনি তাকে চিনতে যাবেন। এই সর্ট অফ কমিউনিকেশন হলো ফাংশনাল কমিউনিকেশন অ্যাক্টিভিটিস। আর সোশ্যাল ইন্টারাকশন অ্যাক্টিভিটিস, মনে করেন ওনার বার্থডে, উনি আপনাদেরকে ইনভাইট করছেন আর আপনারা যেতে পারবেন না অথবা যাবেন, কিভাবে যাবেন, কোথায়, এই ধরনের যে communication activities সেটা হবে কি social activities, and such kind of activities can be role played in the classroom, and it was mentioned by Littlewood in 1981. So what sort of activities will be done in the classroom, that was designed by the class teacher, and the motive is that as many time or as many ways the learner will be involved, যত ভাবে স্টুডেন্টদেরকে কি কথা বলানো যায় এবং কথা বলতে বলতে স্টুডেন্টরা সেই কমিউনিকেটিভ কম্পিটেন্সটা গ্রো করবে তাদের মধ্যে। ওকে, সো দ্যাট ইজ লার্নার্স রোল। লার্নার্স তো আর বলার অপেক্ষা রাখে না, সবসময় মুখ ব্যথা হয়ে যাবে কথা বলতে বলতে সিএলটিতে, এবং কথা শুনতে শুনতে কানও ব্যথা হয়ে যাবে নাকি। ওকে, দ্য emphasis of the communicative language teaching on the process of communication rather than mastery of the language forms heads to the different roles of the learners. The role of the learner is negotiator. They will negotiate communication between the self and the learning process, and the object of learning emerges from the interact with the role of the joint negotiators with the group of the within the classroom procedures and the activities. So that would be the learner's role. Teacher's role, teachers will be the counselor, teacher will be the controller, facilitator, not the teacher will dominate the whole class. Here একটা প্রশ্ন করলে বসো, no. Teacher will encourage a student to ask questions and involve questions between students to students so that the students can involve. The teacher has two main roles. The first role is to facilitate the communication process between participation and the classroom. Okay. The second role is to act as an independent participant with the learning teaching group. That means এখানে 32 আছে, 5 জন করে গ্রুপ করা হলো। ওকে, কোনো একটা গ্রুপে টিচার একজন গ্রুপ মেম্বার হিসেবে কি করবেন, যোগদান। ওকে, দ্যাট উড বি দ্য টিচার্স রোল। অ্যান্ড নিডস অ্যানালিসিস, দ্যাট মিনস ইউ হ্যাভ টু স্টাডি দ্য নিডস অ্যানালিসিস ইন কেস অফ কমিউনিকেশন। আপনি কমিউনিকেশন শেখাচ্ছেন, কাদের শেখাচ্ছেন? ওকে, ইউ হ্যাভ টু গেট দ্য নিডস অফ দ্য লার্নার, যদি আপনি ক্লাস 5-এর স্টুডেন্টদের পড়ান, তাদের নিডস কি? তাদের পরীক্ষায় ভালো করা। আপনি যদি মাস্টার্স পাশ করেছে যাদের, তাদের যদি শেখান, তাহলে কি তাদের নিডস হলো তারা বাইরে অ্যাব্রোডে হায়ার স্ট্যাটাসের জন্য, এটা তাদের নিডস। আপনি যদি ডাক্তারদের পড়ান, তাদের নিডস হলো তারা বাইরে যাবে এবং সেখানে রোগীদের চিকিৎসা করবে। ওকে, যদি ইঞ্জিনিয়ারদের শেখান, যদি পাইলটদের শেখান, এক একজনের নিডস এক এক রকম। সো নিডসটা বুঝে আপনাকে সেই ধরনের কমিউনিকেশনটা করাতে হবে। দ্যাট ইজ দ্য নিডস অ্যানালিসিস। সো টিচার উইল বি দ্য কাউন্সিলার্স। সো দ্যাট ইজ দ্য communicative language teaching. There will have some advantages and disadvantages of CLT. Advantages is that communication will be there, but in case of there are some disadvantages. What are the disadvantages? In case of communication, some students become weak in grammar. Okay, and for this reason we have learned that several history. আমরা আগে একজন GPA 5 পেয়েছে, তাকে জিজ্ঞাসা করা হয়েছিল যে I am GPA 5. So that are some problems in case of CLT. That means for getting the fluency, accuracy is not done exactly. And another thing is that the class size. In case of Bangladeshi context, class size is very big, and for this reason communication cannot be effective. Okay, so thank you very much for attending the class, and